Hello, everybody, and welcome back to The Successful Stylist Unfoiled Season 2. Um, I actually already had recorded an intro for my next guest, my first guest of the season, I guess. Um, and I just felt like it didn't quite do justice. So I'm gonna give it two intros because I didn't originally plan on having her as my season premiere, which is nothing against her, but I record all of the episodes in advance mostly. And then I end up with a backlog of content so that it's much easier for me to export while I'm working full time. And it's just much easier to manage. So initially, I had recorded an intro for the season with somebody else. And I listened to, and no disrespect to anyone else, but I was editing this episode with my friend Tayor Logan. And I couldn't help the feeling that it gave me and thought that this just has to be the comeback because she is the epitome of what I am trying to do and show and get the word out there with this podcast, everything that Tayor is. So I will still leave you with my original intro for her, but I just wanted to say welcome back to this season. I have some kick ass guests. I am blown away at the response and the support that I got for season one. And I want to say a massive thank you for supporting me and encouraging me and really loving it. So it's been a pleasure putting it all together again for a new season. And I really hope that you enjoy this episode with Tayor because I just think it's everything I am trying to prove. She was an academic who felt the pressure to go to university and that hairdressing almost wasn't good enough. And she is beating the odds and proving that it absolutely darn tootin' right is. So without further ado, I will pop you back in. Ignore my double intro, but I just felt like it didn't do it justice and that I wanted to pop in and say welcome back and thank you for joining me.
All right, y'all, I got my southern accent on and I'm here. Oh, I don't know if that was very good. Anyway, I am talking to my little southern belle today, Miss Tayor Logan, who works with for Candy Shaw at Jamison Shaw Hairdressers in Atlanta. And I had the privilege of meeting Tayor many years ago, probably 6 years ago, when I was doing my Sunlight's Balayage training in Atlanta. And I connected with her right away. I think we saw maybe a little bit of each other in ourselves in each other. Um, and I have had the amazing experience of teaching and Hair Expo internationally with her and having her over here in Australia with me. And she is just the most inspiring person. She is somebody who I wanted to have on to add to my cause of trying to show people that you do not have to go to uni. And Tayor was um on the dean's list, I believe, and all these high-end academic things, and I was not. But she had a scholarship to university. Her parents are both very academic. She's very intelligent and could have gone to university and did actually go, but had this pull in her heart that she knew she wanted to do hair, but felt like it wasn't a career that she could do because it wasn't successful enough, say. So she did her first um semester or year at uni and then went to hair school, and now she has been the top producer in a 50 chair salon for the past 3 years and is in the six figure club at Jamison Shaw and has been an international educator on stage working alongside Candy. And if she was going to make it doing anything, like she was going to be the best in it, and hairdressing versus medical or law was no different. So she just is that person who is so professional, shows up. She's the exact example of, maybe not what everybody would strive to be, but definitely what
anybody coming up, I think, would want to be. She operates a double column. And I was like, can you please explain that? What does that even mean? She literally books a balayage and a haircut at the exact same time and runs a double column all day. So she's going to walk us through that. But she's just so sweet, and I love talking to her and hearing her story. And I actually just was so interested to hear how she operates her day and all of those things. So it's an eye opener of how you can really maximize your potential and how to go from working as an apprentice to working your way up. And like I said, being the top producer. So I loved this conversation. I love her. And I really hope that you can enjoy and learn and be inspired by my friend Tayor Logan. Okay. Today, I have my friend Tayor. We have been trying to organize this since the beginning of me starting this. And then, the rotation of quarantines and lockdown between America, Atlanta, hot Atlanta, and Melbourne has really been challenging. So I'm so grateful for your time today. Thank you. I know it's your dinner time.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
Although when I said it was your dinner time and you were like, no, we eat late, I was like, I should have known. You're a hairdresser too. We eat at 9 o'clock.
Yeah, exactly. Because you got to get the gym in after you work and then you eat dinner. So.
Good for you. I'm just going home to sit on the couch. That's one thing I haven't started back doing since quarantine ended. Like all the gym shut. So I was like, oh, perfect. Cancel my membership. No problem. And I just, haven't gone back.
It's fine.
I'll get back into it one day.
You will.
So I have Candy Shaw's right-hand lady here. I'm like, I don't know if you like being referred to that way. If you're like, I'm my own identity, but that's what I
No, I'm very honored to be that for sure.
Yeah. Oh, that's so good. So I met Tayor, it would be like six years ago probably now in Atlanta.
Yeah.
But like just briefly, like I was there doing my Sunlights training and you were, coming up then it would have been. You would have been on the floor, of course, but 6 years ago.
But newly on the floor.
Yeah. And I met you there. And then you and I had an amazing experience in Australia together at Hair Expo. Doesn't that
we did in Melbourne.
I know. And I was living in Sydney then. And then last time when the expo was in Sydney, I was living in Melbourne. So I've just rotated every time where I am.
I didn't realize
it's like
that.
I just like being put up in the hotel, So I just move every time to a different spot. I'm like, no, I don't live here. I want to stay at Crown.
I love that.
It was so fun. Oh, I missed you last time though. I had Sid, but I missed you.
You had Sydney.
Good fun. But that's something that we'll definitely get into today is talking about your international hair show experience and all of this. But the way that I like to start most of I hate calling them interviews because I like to think they're a bit more casual than that, but is how you got into hairdressing. I always just like to know everybody's beginning into hairdressing, and yours is quite interesting. As a lot are, but yours is really good and something that I think we both are passionate about and really want to talk about uni and that whole thing. So was hairdressing something that you always wanted to do?
I think secretly it was. I used to go to a big hair salon with my mom at Phipps, which is a huge mall in Atlanta. It was called Carter and Barnes. And I was probably starting at 2 or 3 years old. I was in that environment and I just loved to watch. So I think I had like an infatuation with it. But when you're smart and you go to a private school and you have great education, it's like you're expected to go to college. You get a scholarship. That's the next step. So I don't think originally I did. I don't think I knew it. I knew it in my heart.
Yeah.
But I don't think I ever verbalized it until I got out on my own, went to college, and then realized, wait, this is what I'm passionate about. Yeah.
Oh my God, I love it. That's exactly the thing that I'm trying to get going with this movement is that I think a lot of times people do have that, oh, I wish I was I always wanted to be a hairdresser. And I hear it all the time. Even my mom said it to me when I went into hairdressing. I always wanted to be a hairdresser. And when you ask people why they didn't, it's because they feel like they have to go to uni. And exactly what you said, you went to a private school. That was the next step. That's what you had to do. So how did you make the transition from going to uni into hair school? How did that happen?
Yeah. So first of all, I graduated high school as salutatorian of my class. So I wasn't valedictorian, but I was one the next one in line. And so
Always been a high achiever, you?
I was very focused, which do you know anything about the Enneagram? Are y'all
No.
into that?
What?
Okay,
No.
never mind.
What is that?
I'm like a number 3, which is the achiever.
Ah.
So that explains it. Anyways, it's like a personality test.
Ah.
But so I graduated high school and I had a full scholarship to Mercer University in Macon. And they gave me the most money. So that's where I went. And I was just always focused on, again, achieving, being the best
Yeah.
at something, studying the hardest, making an A. And I'm only saying this not to brag on myself,
No, I
but just
love
to
it.
put it into perspective. So both semesters at Mercer, I was on the dean's list with a 4.0. And that's just, I mean, most people like me would, maybe be a lawyer or a doctor or whatever because I was good in school. And
Yeah.
I think there's just a really bad stigmatism around people being hairdressers because they can't pass high school.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying
Oh my
that there's
God.
anything
Goosebumps, it's already
wrong.
happened.
I know.
Already happened.
I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with it if you can't. Like, it's a trade. There are really awesome trades that if people do struggle in school, that's okay. But just because you struggle or just because you don't struggle doesn't mean that hairdressing can't be a successful career for you. So I went to college, or uni, as you guys call it. I love that so much.
I've
So
developed I'm not even Aussie, you know? I've just developed all these like things and I have this mismatch of like terms that I use.
because you're half Canadian,
I
half
don't know what I
Australian
am
at this
anymore.
point.
I know. Now I've got this Irish situation happening.
Just a little bit of everything.
What the hell?
So, anyways, I went to college for a year, and I'm pretty sure about 3 months in, I was like internally wrestling with myself.
Yeah.
I have never been not at peace, and I'm very much like lean on God and scripture, and that God is who guides my life. Like, I want to do his will for my life. So while I was in school, I just had this heart tug that I wasn't where I was supposed to be, and I tried to listen to that, and there was just constant distraction, and I just didn't feel settled. So I wrestled with that, and I went to Jacob, who I was dating at the time, who's now
Oh
my
my
husband,
God.
and I was like, this would have been so much easier if I had just gone to hair school. And, we sat there and we're like, why don't I go to hair school? If
Yeah.
I'm good at school, I can be good at hair. And when I tell you, it was such a, just like such a calling on my life. I feel like it wasn't something that I just chose to do, but something that I was passionate about. So I kind of was nervous to tell my parents and
Yeah.
talk to my mom, talk to my dad. My mom's a pharmacist and she went to pharmacy school at Auburn and just was like, Taylor, you were smarter than me. I knew that you would do even more than I could do. And she just really was excited for my future, which I understand as a parent.
Yeah.
Like, you dream that your kids will do more than you do or have. So anyways, I was nervous to tell her. And my parents were very understanding. We went on a Monday and toured Paul Mitchell, the school, Atlanta. This was, I'm pretty sure, in December. So I don't know if it's like that in Australia, but we go from August to December and then we take a break.
So same
That's
in
one
Canada.
semester.
It'd be different
Yeah.
here. Yeah, but
Yeah. So anyways, we went in December and I checked it out and I immediately fell in love. I signed an apartment lease and knew I wasn't a quitter. So I wanted to finish out my, January to May semester. But because I had those really awesome relationships at college, I started doing all those girls' hair as soon as I got in hair school. It was like my clientele because I was in a sorority. So they all came to me. So it was a blessing in disguise
my
that I went
God.
to college and I met all these girls, and they've really, even to this day, have helped build my
Yeah.
clientele. So
You still got that college experience because I felt like for me that was something that I was worried about missing out on. All my best friends went to uni. My two best friends went to uni together. And I
yeah,
was like, I don't get to have this because for me, hair school was like in my area. So I just took the bus every morning and went. I didn't get that uni experience. So the fact that you got that too and got
right.
to have your like, in your sorority, your first year, and like then go do what you wanted to do. You got the best of both kind of it.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry, I don't have
No
rhino.
worries. Don't do that, Taylor.
Oh no, you can't cough these days
It's
without
so
people.
crazy. You cough all you
I know.
want. That's why we're on video chat.
You're right.
And so your parents were supportive, happy for you to go and do that.
Yeah,
And
I
so
think
you
there was
just,
a little bit of,
yeah,
like worry, but they were supportive.
yeah. And then I read through how you ended up at Jamison Shaw because you've been there your whole career essentially,
Yeah.
right? So do you want to go into how that happened for you
Yeah.
and that moment? Because I've had that moment before, and I think everybody has that moment of when they've, their eyes open and okay, this is it. This is how I'm going
This
to
is
do
what I
it.
want. Yeah, so I got to Paul Mitchell and people started doing these British haircuts on me. And I actually went to a French hairdresser back home, but didn't know it. She was trained
Okay.
in Atlanta and I'd had several haircuts before, but I was always very particular about my hair. So I got to hair school and I'm like, this is not the way that she cuts my hair. This is the way that the people cut hair that I never really liked their haircuts. No offense to
Mm,
British hair cutting, but I just realized what I liked. So, one of the administrators, her husband worked at Jamison Shaw at the time, and they said they needed models for a cutting class. And I'm pretty sure that Jamison Shaw had come and taught some balayage classes. I remember meeting two different educators throughout my career there, but
so
I think at that
interesting.
point, I'd only met one for a balayage class. And then they said, oh, Jamison Shaw's needing models. So I went and it was just a free haircut. So I was like, cool.
Yeah.
And what's so crazy is, and I didn't know it at the time, but one of the educators that was the educator of my section, she ended up being who trained me at the salon. Like I was her
Oh.
assistant. So it's just kind of a full circle, cool situation. But I left. She changed my hair to a middle part. I had the deep Southern girl swoop bang side part.
I had that too. The
She
Justin
changed,
Bieber.
yeah, she changed my hair to a middle part, and it was the best haircut I'd ever had in my entire life. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm obsessed with these people, this place. I have to work there.
Yeah.
So that, like you said, was my aha light bulb moment of knowing that's where I wanted to be.
Yeah. And maybe describe the salon for the listeners because I've been
Yeah.
in and it's amazing.
Yep.
But the
It is.
salon that I came from was a 65 chair salon and you're in a 50 chair? 50 chair
50.
salon? That is not normal here at all. Like
No.
the salon that I work in maybe has 10 chairs.
Yeah.
And the last salons I were in maybe had like 15, 20, like, and those are big kind of like,
Right.
I'm
Right.
sure
Right.
there
Right.
is here or there, but it's not like what you or I are used to. And
Or used
even
to.
like when I was starting at the last salon I worked at, they'd be like, oh my God, it's so busy. Blah, blah, blah. And I was like, are you crazy? It's like a walk in the park, no matter how booked you are. When there's only 20 staff members, it is not the same as when there are 100 staff members. Like,
For sure.
it just is, there's no comparison to, and I think that's where you get that feeling too when you're saying I walked in there and I just you're like, oh my God, like this is it. If I'm gonna be somewhere, I'm not working at a dinky, hair salon in the mall or something. Like this is,
This
what
is it.
I
This is
think
the
lit both
ultimate.
of us up. Yeah.
For sure. So Jamison Shaw, like you said, is a 50 chair salon. It's kind of like a maze, which not that that has anything to do with it, but you don't really realize how big it is
Totally.
until
It
you get
loops
in there.
around.
It's 5,000 square feet.
Oh my God.
And it's a feeling. It's not so much the aesthetic. I mean, Candy Shaw is amazing at design and her vision for all of that. But the salon on the outside is in a shopping center. I
Yep.
mean, you look at the outside and you're like, oh, Jamison Shaw Hairdressers, like cool front doors, but you don't really get a vibe until you
No,
walk
you'd never
in.
know that it's that big in there because it's just like an
No,
outdoor shopping area for people to have a
exactly.
vision. It's just an outdoor shopping area.
Yeah.
And, there's a glasses thing, a thing.
Kroger and a Starbucks
Yeah.
and all in there.
So
So you
American.
walk
I love your
in and
accent. I love talking to you.
I know people are going to be like, we need a
Who's
translator,
this Southern Belle?
subtitles, please.
Oh, I love it.
So but it's the professionalism that sets it apart. It's the hustle, it's the bustle, it's the buzz. It's just amazing. And how, in one section we may have 12 to 15 chairs in another section, and you have a stylist working on two different people at once, and an assistant shampooing, and everyone is dressed to the nines, and no blue
Mm-hmm.
jeans, and all of that,
Yeah.
which you know there's a difference too, in I think in the salon industry. Sometimes people just get into it not to be a professional. Like,
Yeah.
there's a difference in being like trendy and wearing flip-flops to work. And Jamison Shaw just like sets the standard so high,
Yeah.
that I knew, like you said, if I was going to be somewhere, this is where I wanted to be.
That's
And
how I felt. Yeah.
when I got there, I said, this is going to be the hardest thing that I have ever done in my entire life. But if I can rise to the top, rise to the challenge, it didn't matter what I did. If it was sweeping the floor
You
or
were going to
doing
be
the
the best.
shampoo, I
Yeah.
was going to be the best. And that's what it cultivates in you if you want to rise to the occasion. So, the possibilities are endless. It's just that you have to be willing to want it and work for it. So it's very inspiring, but also can be overwhelming. And I think, you have to be the right person to want to work as hard as you have to make it there.
Totally. And I think that's something that's come up a lot in these conversations of people who I, rank or whatever the word would be as successful, and who I want to talk to. And it's about that work ethic and having that little bit extra. And
For
when I
sure.
was reading all your stuff, I'm like, oh, it's really like, that's how I feel. Like the things that you feel is how I feel. And the things that somebody else I've spoken to, we feel the same thing. And that's why we keep pushing to the next level, because we have that in us that no matter what we were going to do, I was not going to be average at this. Like there
No,
was something that I, was going to find something to do in this industry that suited me best. And
for
you
sure.
just touched on doing multiple clients. So now you're a master stylist.
Yes.
How long have you been there now? How long have you actually been at this?
A little over 6 years, like six
Wow.
and a half.
Oh my
It'll
God.
be 7 in June.
So it's not even that long. Like it's long in
No,
terms of like, oh my gosh, like we don't know anything else. And like you can't even, it seems like forever that you've been there, but
for sure.
six
Well, when
years is
I'm
not
only
a long time.
27,
Yeah. 6
yeah,
years is not a long time, because you would
not
have
in the
started
industry.
after I did. Like you had that year of like school, like where you went to university and stuff. So you started a
Right,
little bit later, even though we're in the same age.
right.
How do you feel like you got to that master stylist role like so quickly? And I mean, obviously it's kind of obvious how you got there, but yeah, because you're the
Thanks.
best.
No, honestly, I just wanted it. Like,
Yeah,
the first day that we have these like all company meetings, and Candy
my favorite
makes
day
you
of the
get up
year.
there even though you're literally shaking. She makes you get up there and talk about yourself. And I think I was young and just like very impressionable, and got up there and just like let my heart speak. And now I look back and I'm like, wow, I'm kind of embarrassed, but I got up in front of
Like you
everyone and
winning
I was
Oscar or
like,
something.
I know, I got up there and I was like, if I'm going to be here, I am willing to learn. I want each and every one of you to like push me and teach me everything that I can learn, because I want to be the best.
Yeah.
And I credit that to my parents just teaching me work ethic. And when I was 16 years old and got a car, it was like, okay, I'll buy you a car, but it's time to get a job. And
Yeah.
that was just instilled in me, from a young age. And I don't, I think that can be taught. I really do. That's one thing that I have learned at the salon is Candy sees things in people that I could never see. I'm like, oh my gosh, like, why does she hire this person? And then give it 6 months and you're like, wow, like she saw the potential, and she
Okay.
can see the
Yeah.
potential in everyone. And that's the coolest thing, is that you just have to find someone that sees the potential in you, because I was terrified, but Candy saw potential in me. And at the moment I didn't see it.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't see where I would be 6.5 years from June of 2014.
Yeah.
I never knew where I would be, but it's because she saw the potential, and then I think I had the work ethic
Yeah.
to get me there.
So talk about, I would love to just go through like what a day in the salon with you is like. So I know
Okay.
now you have, so here it's a little bit different in terms of bookings and stuff. Like,
Right.
again, I only speak from my experience in the salons that I've worked in, but I've worked in one big company, multiple salons in that company, and another salon now. And it's all kind of the same, that they tend to operate a little bit differently because it's not commission based.
Right.
And you and I came from a commission based situation. But as far as I know, all the salons in Australia, you have to be on a base, right? As far as I know. So could be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong, anybody. But yeah, so the hustle of trying to get all those clients in, having an assistant with you specifically,
Mhm.
your assistant to help you to do everything so that you can juggle what you've written here as a double book, right?
Right.
I have it somewhere, but I've written down a double book. So how do you operate that, and like what to walk me through a busy day for you?
Yeah.
How does that operate and how does that work and what does that look like?
Right. So, first of all, every morning that I come into the salon, it does not matter what is going on at home. It doesn't matter if I slept good last night or whatever. I am always 15 minutes early. And I do that so that I have time to look at my book. Um, if it's kind of crazy, I try to troubleshoot.
Mhm.
And, I worked alone for probably, I would say, a year to 2 years. And then I got to the point where I was booked out 3 months in advance and I couldn't take anyone else. And so that was the point that I got an assistant. So when I worked by myself, the only time that I would ever take someone in the processing time would be maybe a men's cut during a single process, like a base color.
Okay.
And then once I got an assistant, it was like you can basically do anything. One of the things that I kind of pride myself on, though, is making sure that every client feels seen, feels
Yeah.
cared about, and we still have a consultation, even if they've
Mhm.
been with me for 5 years.
Yep.
I'm not going to tell my assistant, hey, go ahead and go get her base color mixed up before we even get started, because
Mhm.
I want to make sure, hey, how's your base? And they're usually like, good, same thing, blah, blah, blah. But I ask.
Yep.
So that's first and foremost. Like, just because I'm busy and just because I have a built up clientele, that doesn't mean that I just slack off and it's chaos. It may be chaotic, but it's definitely controlled chaos. So basically I get there 15 minutes early and kind of troubleshoot my day, make sure everything looks good. And I also try to look ahead at my book before I get there, just like a week or two in advance in case we need to
Yeah.
call someone to make them move around.
Yep.
So, I basically can start first thing in the morning. I have two columns. I feel like most booking systems are like a one column.
Yeah.
You have like your balayage, your haircut, your come out time, and then the next person.
Yeah.
So, first thing in the morning, I have a color column and I have a cutting column. So I can take, if it's 8 o'clock in the morning, I can take a balayage at 8 and a haircut at 8. The
How?
timings are a little different. Miss so and so and Miss so and so walk in, and I go ahead and have my consult with the balayage. My assistant goes and gets me mixed. I have a consult with my haircut. My assistant goes and shampoos while I start the balayage or pre-cut my balayage.
Mhm.
And I start my day with two people, and they get shampooed while I'm painting. And then I might be like, hey, let me go ahead and cut her. And she just sits there and is on her phone or working on
And
her
what about the
laptop.
pieces that you've put in? Are they like do you start in the back because you have to rinse them and do you sectional rinse or like what do you?
No, well, here's the thing. We're French hair cutters. It
Mm.
takes me 3 minutes to cut her hair. So, like, just to give you an example, the other day I went in
Yeah,
this
this
clothing
is
boutique.
foreign to people. Like Taylor, this is
Oh,
normal for you, but like
I
this is
know.
foreign for people
I
and I
know.
just love it. This is like the
I
highlight of my life
literally,
having this
I
conversation.
literally stand people up, do the basic outline, do the face framing, the layers, 3 minutes. They're sitting down. My assistant blow dries, and it takes an assistant about 20 to 30 minutes to do her blow dry so I can
Yeah.
get that paint on. The paint goes to the processing. I finish her up, finish her haircut because I will cut it dry again just to double check
Yeah.
it and curl her. And by the time her haircut's done, then that balayage is basically done. And then my next bali comes in, and then she becomes my haircut. Because if that
Yeah.
makes sense. So like
Yeah.
my next bali is here, and then the person that I just balayage becomes the haircut, and it's kind of the same back and
Yeah.
forth.
So it's zigzagging through your 2 columns.
Exactly. And it
Mm.
changes, it varies as a base. So a base color may come in, and I would do a haircut at the same time, but I'm done a lot quicker with the base color. And so then I can't take a men's cut in between type of thing.
Yeah.
So I can basically do, for every balayage that I do, I can do a women's cut and a men's cut simultaneously. Because the
is
men's cut's in the
outrageous.
processing time. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
really cool. But recently I went up on my timing a little bit because I was finding that I didn't have enough time for a thorough consultation, and I wasn't having enough time to curl. And
Mm.
so that
So what are
extra
your times, or what were your times, and what are they now? Just so
so
people have an
my
idea, like how long is it taking
yeah,
you?
yeah. So my balayages were an hour 15 with a 45-minute haircut.
Okay.
So 2 hours for consult, paint, process, tone, Ola, blow dry, cut,
An
and
hour
style.
and 50. How many minutes do you have to put the
An hour,
balayage
or
in?
no, 2 hours.
Yeah.
So
How
that would
many
be a
minutes
full
do you
2 hours.
have to put the balayage in? What is your application?
Well, that's the thing, is when my timings were only an hour 15 for that, I was having to paint them in like 20 or 30 minutes
Oh my
max, like from
Yeah.
mixing to
Because they have to
completely painting.
process. Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
my God. And Olaplex
So
sits for
it
10 friggin' minutes.
Yeah, and I was just finding that, I was losing the joy of
Yeah,
my
doing it.
craft. I was just like trying to get it on and not really enjoying it. So,
I felt
at
like
this
that before.
point, yeah, but at this point, my balayage times are an hour and a half and then a 1 hour haircut. So I'm spending 2.5 hours. But in order for me to be as productive with how booked out I am, I then started charging more.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm still so booked, but we're like, we have to like drop my bottom 10 to 20% so that I can make room for more people. People didn't bat an eye because
Yeah.
they love my work. And I'm not saying that to brag, but it's just
No,
like
say it.
shows you if you're truly doing um just like a good service, you're connecting with your people on a personal level, because I truly believe that it's so much more than just good hair. You got to bang out
100%.
some good
You
hair,
could do some
but
shit hair and the people will come back to you because they like you.
if they like you.
Yeah.
Exactly. But here's the thing, you could also do some really amazing hair,
Yeah.
charge way too much money, and not connect with them, and they'll leave you because they feel like you're too busy for them. They don't connect, and they feel rushed.
Yeah.
And that's the last thing that I want any of my guests to feel.
Yeah.
So yeah, but the last thing I'll say, and then we can wrap this up if I'm rattling on. But
No, you're never right. We can go forever.
but what was I going to say? I just lost my train of thought.
The booking system, how you book your days,
Booking.
connecting with your clients.
So, but you also, the hour 30 minutes is my baseline. After that, it's like, okay, Sally has 5 hairs and it takes me 20 minutes to get it on. I will book people for an hour balayage and an hour haircut, and they'll be out in 2 hours. But that middle of the road timing for just some random girl that books, what works for me. And then as I have gotten to know my clientele, I will book them for alternate timings. However, you just have to be really connected with your social media, because if that person cancels, you can't fill it with another balayage timing. You have to have another either base color to fill it with, or someone that you really know their
Because
hair.
you knew you could shrink her time, because it doesn't take you that long because she has 2 hairs, and now you can't fill that spot.
Exactly. So you just have to be flexible, but you have to know when you have 2 sets of hands, and when people love you, they would rather get in with you and wait a couple minutes or leave wet. I have a lot of people that are willing to leave wet.
I see that all the time on your guys' social media. And like, so what does that mean for you? Like, you don't get to see the color and it's fine. Like, it just, your work is good and you're like, yep, doodles. I'm always like, what if there's that one piece there that's not sitting right? Like, maybe I need to be better.
I know. I mean, you do have those fears, but when you've been doing someone's hair for several years, you're like, It always looks okay. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
But we blow dry the bang. We bring them back over. We
Yeah.
knock a little water out. We blow dry the top because with the French blow dry, you always start in the front. So we do the top two sections, blow dry it, and we see the color and we're like, all right, looks good. They throw it up in a little bun in the back and they're out the door.
Oh my God.
And then they save $50 on a blow dry and you
Yeah.
can do more people.
Oh my God, wild. I love it. I think people will be mind blown by that, Taylor. That's not normal. Like to do a double column like that is really amazing. And I feel like there's times where I'm like, I'm so grateful that I started in the salon that I started in because I didn't have a double book, but I was back to back to back to back to back because take my lunch break out. I don't care. I'd rather get that extra
Right.
commission. No problem.
Right.
And here it's just different. Like you have to have your lunch breaks. It's very, in the salons that I've been in anyway, like it's that
That's true.
comes out of your pay because you are on a base rate and you are scheduled for a break and all this stuff. And I'm always like, I don't need my break. No problem. Take it out. And I'm like, why do I still do that? Because it still comes off my paycheck and it didn't really help me
Yeah.
on my pay.
Yeah.
Like,
So for me, like the more people I do, the more money I'm making because it's a commission split. So
mhm.
why not get that extra thing in?
Yeah. So something that I spoke to you about, if I could bring up, which I really wanted to, is the six-figure club. And that
Yep.
this is something that, again, I'd never seen before. This was one of my aha moments. So, like you walking in there and seeing that, I walked in there and saw that. I always knew I wanted to do hair. I always knew I was going to do something big. And I could
Right.
see the potential in a different way. I used to go to a salon with my mom, or a lady's basement with my mom, and she was doing my mom and me. And when we would leave, it wasn't that expensive, but at the time it was like, she was making $100 an hour. And I was like, this girl is making $100 an hour cash in her basement with her kid on the couch, like not paying for a babysitter. I was like, okay, cool. Who do you know that's making $100 an hour? That's what I'm going to do. But I knew I
Yeah.
didn't want to, I knew I wanted to be in a salon environment. And then that's how I got into Donato's and all these things. But I never converted what $100 an hour made in a yearly salary, or like how that
Yeah.
kind of, okay, well, what's my goal of what my yearly amount is going to be? And when I went and did train the trainer, Candy speaks about the six-figure club and how the balayage is going to speed up your timing and you're going to be able to do more clients. And I have people in the six-figure club. And then my eyes were like, 6 figures? That's what I can be making? Like, my friends aren't making that and they went to uni and, I can
Yeah.
do that. And that was my turning point. So walk us through that and like how that kind of happens. And there's a lot of you in it. It's not like
Yeah.
it's just you.
No.
So what does that kind of entail? And like, is it
Yeah.
something that is in your head that you're trying to get to that because it's an incentive there? Or is it like you don't even have to think about it because you're doing so many clients, it just happens?
Well, I think initially it was something that I definitely strived for and thought about. And at the beginning, we have goals. So I think when I started, it was like $100,000 a year in services will get
Yeah.
you into the six-figure club, and then $10,000 in retail. And so you have to meet both in order to be in the six-figure club. And then over
So the
the
six-figure club, just to clarify, it's not 6 figures going into your pocket. It's that you've brought
correct,
6 figures into the salon.
correct. So
Okay.
you would
So
bring
just-
in
yeah.
$100,000 behind the chair, and then you would get your commission split off of that. But you're
Oh,
still your
yeah.
services would bring in $100,000. So as the years went on, it got easier and easier to make it. Also because pricing, I mean, inflation of just
Yeah. But your prices
normal
aren't
world.
outrageous. Like
No,
your
they really aren't.
prices, every time I hear Candy talk about, like Candy
Yeah.
talks about Taylor every time she does a little thing, and I love it. Every time we have a hair show or something, you're the golden child. You are the one. Like you
No.
are. And
Well,
I like to think I was too. But you get the people who just do those things. But it's true
right.
that you don't charge an arm and a leg for your
No.
services. Not like, okay, yeah, but she's charging $200 for a haircut and $400 for balayage. Like your
No, it's
prices
how
are,
you make it up in the amount of people that you do. So
yeah.
think about this. I now start with $140 balayage, like base price. And I probably do a minimum on a busy day of 8 a day.
Wow.
So that's and well, actually it's probably more than that because you have the 40s, but
Yeah.
it's probably close to $1,000
Yeah.
a day just for my balayages, not for
Never
my
mind your
haircuts.
toner. Is your toner
Toner,
included in that?
no,
Yeah.
toner, Olaplex or low lights or base color or a men's cut squished in there. It is really insane. But I think that's how, you want it to be affordable. Like like think about a car payment,
Yeah.
right? Like you don't want it to be more than a person's car payment every month,
Mhm.
because you want them to come back. And I think you have to ride that ridge, ride the ridge.
I know what you're talking about.
You have to ride the tipping point of like charging what you're worth, but not taking 2 to 3 clients a day and not reaching your potential. So
Mhm.
we set those goals, and originally, so for those people that are just starting out, sit down and plan. Like, yeah, you're a hairdresser, but like I was saying before, if you like, you can be a hairdresser and still be smart and still be good at math and numbers, and sit down and say, okay, if I take 2 weeks of vacation, so I'm going to work 50 weeks a year, five or yeah, 5 days a week, then how much do I need to make monthly? How much do I need to make weekly? And then how much do I need to make daily? You may not hit your daily goals, but just because you didn't hit your daily goal
Yeah,
doesn't
you
mean
can
you
make
can't
up
hit
for
your
it on a
weekly
Saturday.
goal
Yeah.
or your monthly goal. So that's how I started out. And now I don't focus on my goals as much because I feel like they're so ingrained in me
Yeah.
and I'm kind of operating at maximum capacity. But there are times when I think to myself, man, I didn't sell any retail today.
Mm.
And that's not a good thing in our eyes. So if I don't sell retail, it's like, what could I have done better? And as long as I show up the next day making improvements and holding myself accountable, is good enough for me. So
Wild. Love it. And so then the next thing I would love to go into is the hair shows. And you
yes,
obviously getting to go and be on stage, because something else
yeah,
that I wanted to get out of the podcast was these things that seem unattainable. So, watching people on stage at a hair show, people who are, say, sponsored by brands or whatever it may be. And so you educate for Sunlights, and not just
yeah.
Sunlights. You go on behalf, like you've done, what's the one, Boss, the ladies?
Lady bosses.
Yeah, like, so it's not just about teaching balayage. You're now teaching other things as well. And so
Right.
how did that happen for you, and what's that like? And yeah.
So I think it just started out with one, Candy believing in me, but also just showing up and saying yes. Like,
Yeah.
find the people that you want to be like. If you work at a salon and the people that you're looking up to aren't doing those things, then you probably need to find another salon if
Mm,
that's what your goal is.
yeah.
So if that's something you strive for, you got to put yourself in the positions where you can be next to those people and have those people as your mentors. So, when we would have a balayage class or a French cutting class, I showed up on my day off with a notebook, dressed up with my makeup on, ready to go. And yeah, I was away from my boyfriend or my friends on a Sunday, and I was making sacrifices, but that's what it took in the beginning to really get me there. And then I was an assistant in a class instead of just taking it. I was an assistant and I watched the educators and I was
Mhm.
just in it, like with my hands. And sometimes I would say the wrong thing, but I would learn from those mistakes. And before you knew it, I was asked to not teach the class, but be an educator in the class when they would bring in a model. So
Yeah.
for those people that don't know, when we're teaching in the salon for a balayage class, you take 2 days, and on the second day, we do a live model. And that is something that is in house. It's people that we know that are the models. And so I was asked to be an educator. So I'd have maybe 2 or 3 students that they would be taking their models, and I would be like, don't put your piece there. Try putting it
Uh-huh.
here, or let me show you how to do that, or hold your elbow up. Let me show you how to do your body position. So Candy has the saying of when you're green, you'll grow, and when you're ripe, you'll rot. And I truly believe that. Like, as long as you're always willing to learn and take in information, no matter how good you think you are, then I think you will just always like push forward. So, just putting myself in those learning situations, but then being willing to learn once I was an educator
Yeah.
got me to
You're
that
not
next
done
level.
once you're educating.
No, at
Like,
all.
yeah, totally.
And then the salon industry, people are always coming and going. So some people left, and I was kind of the next in line. And Candy was like, "You're going to teach class with another girl, like co-teach today." And then it started small like that until I was teaching more. And then simultaneously, we're going on the road, and I went to my first hair show in this small or town in Alabama. And they get you up on the microphone in the booth, like at a big trade show booth, and you're just painting on a mannequin. But it's baby steps. It's like not being that person that's like, I don't want to be on the mannequin or on the microphone because I'm scared to talk in front of other people. Was I shaking? Yes.
Me
Was I
too.
terrified?
Yeah.
Yes. But you just have to like
Say yes.
say yes and show up and be willing to do it. And so those little bitty yeses over time showed Candy and the leaders that I was capable. And then when they needed me to rise to the occasion and be with her on stage, then, when we needed someone to fill in for a small class on stage, I was put in that
Yeah.
situation. And could I have been better? Probably. But did I fail miserably? No. And it's
She
just
wouldn't
those
put you
people
on if she didn't think you could do it.
for sure. But
You
I
know.
also think that the ums and ands and buts that I would say in the interim weren't ideal, but given the opportunity, and I'm so honored to have been given the opportunity, because it really makes you a better hairdresser behind the chair as well. And that's something that, Candy has always set the example for us. Is she didn't just make Sunlight's Balayage and get famous on stage and then quit doing hair behind the chair.
Yeah.
She has little pulses in she has her hand in every little thing, and I think it keeps you really well-rounded. So my advice would just be to put yourself in proximity with those other people, and always say yes.
Yeah, totally. I 100% agree. I just think that, like seeing you do it and then being able to go on stage, it's like a full circle thing, going into that salon, seeing where you wanted to be. And then now you've done international hair shows. Like you came to Australia for what? Like, like that's, and your husband got to come.
I know, which
I think
was
it was
so
your
fun.
fiance
It was a trip of a lifetime. But I will say this though, it doesn't start by, you don't start being good when you get the opportunity to be on stage. You start being good, and you start those fundamentals of dressing up, looking the part every day in and day out when no one's watching. And that's how you end up getting to where you want to be, is doing it in the grind, in the daily, and not slacking off. It's about self-discipline that really gets you there. And then when you are rewarded for that, you can just enjoy it, and
because you
that's how
go in
Australia
now,
was.
and like I remember in the beginning, I go in and I'd be so anxious, like, oh my god, these foils, like I don't know where to put them, or it would take me a long time to figure out my placement. And like, look, I still have days where I'm like, oh crap, I don't know about that. Did one the other day, not so sure about that one, but
we all do.
But it becomes easier because you're not thinking. It's just second nature. You're doing it, you're enjoying it. Are you still, I wanted to just go back. I meant to ask you when you were talking about your book and everything. Are you still doing 5 days a week on the floor?
Yeah.
And is that quite normal in your salon? Like here, actually, a lot of people do 4 days a week. Do most of the staff in your salon do 5 days? Like, is that what everyone just does?
Most people do 5 days, unless you're a mom, and then a lot of moms do 4. I mean, I think if I, went to them and was like, hey, I want to do one less day, we can make it work. But I'm like, young, I want to grind now. So yeah, it's pretty standard. I mean, it's just part of the whole, like we got into it as a career. And so just kind of like normal 9 to 5 people work 5 days a week. We just work 5 days a week too.
Yeah. And do you
But we work like full days. You know how some people will work like really, really long days, like I don't know, like 4 12-hour days or something like that.
I do a 10 to 8 day, which actually isn't long. I used to do a 9:45 to 9 day, 2 days.
Yeah. Yeah. So we don't, I mean,
you don't do those big ones.
10 to 7:30. So like a 9.5 hour day. then like a 8:30 to 6. But I did just change my Thursdays to 8 to 4, and it's so great. I live at
Mm,
4 o'clock. The sun is still shining in the
yeah.
winter.
Yeah.
It's about balance
Balance.
now, but
Because the
I do
thing
work
that I'm
5 days.
finding for myself is my body is, and like when you're talking about doing a double book and 8 balayages a day and all of this stuff, like I can't tell you, Taylor, and obviously my body's different to yours, but my shoulder is disintegrating, and I'm
Yeah.
like, how are you still doing 5 days a week and able to do that? Like, what is important to you? I know you have a very good lifestyle, and you were talking about after work you're going to the gym, and here's my problem. I'm coming home and sitting on the couch, but
No, I have
do you
lots of
think
couch days,
that those
trust me.
things are important, that the way that you balance your life as well is allowing you to do that?
Yes.
Because I think a lot of people, the financial aspect deters them of becoming into a hairdresser, the hours deter them of becoming a hairdresser, and the fact that you're standing on your feet and doing that all day, it's quite hard. Like, do you find that that is having an effect on you, or not so much because you have that second hand to help you?
I will say I am a lot more tired if I have a day that I am by myself randomly now. I'm like, oh my gosh, like blow drying that many people, it's
So,
exhausting.
so because they're doing the blow dry for you.
They're doing most of the blow drying. I mean, we'll double
Yeah.
team, but
Yeah.
again, a double team blow dry for us takes maximum 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So it's really fast. But I will say, and I feel like I'm just like talking up our whole system, but it's
No, but
because I
it
believe
is
in it
outrageous.
so
That's why I want to
much.
talk about it. That's why I
But the
wanted
French,
you
but the
here.
French blow dry, the way that we blow dry, the way that we cut with French cutting, and even the way that we hold our brush and paddle with balayage, it's so ergonomically designed that we're not putting pressure and tension on our joints as much.
Yeah.
When we're blow drying, our wrist is completely out this way, like smooth, like all one level.
Mm,
When I'm painting, I'm holding my brush and my arm is
yeah.
flat. And then when I'm blow drying, or I said blow drying, and then same way with cutting, like we hold our arms straight like airplane wings all the time. So you're not really bending your joints a lot,
Mm,
and other than your shoulder. But we say if it's not hurting your shoulder, it's not working right. And
right. Sorry.
there, it's more of
I'm
a
doing it right.
muscular hurt, right? It's more of a muscular hurt though. But I will tell you, this is a side note, but talking about lifestyle, I do think that um, you know, weight training has been really important to me, as well as chiropractor.
Yeah.
I have an awesome chiropractor that she says that male men or women and hairdressers are the two worst
Mail,
people.
like delivering the mail.
Yeah,
Not like
because
a
they
male man. Like
no,
a
like
female
right,
woman.
right, exactly.
Got you.
Like the person
Like the
that,
postman and
yeah,
hairdressers.
the postman. Yeah,
Interesting.
because they step out of the side of their vehicle on the same way hundreds and hundreds of times every single day, and it like wears and tears on their body, which is
Their
so crazy.
hips.
But
So interesting.
being aligned and really taking care of my body when I'm not at work is super important to me. I mean, think about working out, just like strengthening your back, your shoulder muscles, your
Totally.
core strength. It all is connected. And so I think it has really helped sustain me. And I will say this as a real side note,
Love it.
coming back from COVID,
Yep. Yep. Yep.
once we were allowed to open back up, we started wearing tennis shoes to work because Candy
Oh.
wanted us to be able to just sanitize everything, not wear booties or open toed shoes, all of that.
Mm-hmm.
And my feet did not hurt like they used to.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was really, really, really awesome. So
Yeah.
I would say just you have to invest in good shoes too. Like they may not always be the cutest, but it's worth
Yeah.
it.
Look, I've been wearing my Converse because those are the best thing. I have a, this is so disgusting. I'm sharing it on my platform here, but I have a bunion. It kills my foot, man. I have to wear Converse because they're wide and they can fit my bunion.
I got a bunion.
I got a bunion over here and it's really giving me grief at the end of the day. Because I used to wear boots all the time, like little booties,
Yeah.
so cute,
Yep.
stuff
You want to
that
be
I actually can't
cute
do it.
and
I can't do it anymore. Like I
yeah,
can't walk home. So
you have to take care of yourself.
all right. I feel like we have really covered what I wanted to show, the way that you
Perfect.
work and the way that you operate. And
also, you know, the story of how you were going to go to uni. I mean, you did go to uni, and how that changed, and you still feel, and do you think your parents, I mean, I don't even have to ask the question, but I know that they would be like, holy shit, like I think people don't know that the potential in this industry of earnings and of joy, like how much happier you are than if you were
Oh my
doing
gosh.
a medical degree that you didn't want to do. But don't you
Absolutely.
think that your pay in your situation is just, as good?
Yeah, absolutely. So,
Yeah.
I think number one, parents are blown away with the success that I was able to have. My husband is too. Like when he married me, he was like, if I knew that people can make so much money being a hairdresser, then I
Yeah.
would tell everyone to go into hairdressing. But you also have to be passionate about it as
Totally. It's
well.
not about, and that's why I hate saying the money all the time, but it's something that has awoken me to the fact that it's so different everywhere. And like, that is the main reason why a lot of people leave the industry or start and leave, because they're like, well, I'm not going to make any money doing this. And
It's
frig,
not
you
true.
can if you're good
Yeah,
and
for
you
sure.
know how to juggle your book.
It's so true. Yep. And I think, at 27, I own my own house. My car's paid off. We paid off any little bit of student loans that I had from hair school and are living debt free and can go on vacations. And, there's just a lot of like financial freedom that comes with it, but then also loving what I do at the end of every single day. And it's so rewarding. I love the connections that I have with my clients. I genuinely feel like a lot of them are now my friends. I'm sure you feel
Totally.
the same way.
Hmm. I
Um,
go for dinner with some of them. I'm like, is
I
that allowed?
know, you know,
I do what I want.
hairdressers can break the rules. Actually, someone in my neighborhood started out as one of my clients, and now she watches my dog for me a lot of times when I'm at work.
Yeah,
So it's
I
cool
think
the
that that's
relationships that you build.
totally something that I value from this career, is the people that you get to
Yeah,
meet, the connections that you get to make, and
so
I
many cool connections.
completely agree with you. Well,
We
Taylor,
wouldn't have met each other,
I know. Look at us now. I love it. Well, I just want to say thank you so much for
of course.
taking the time. I know it's your Sunday night, and I just
Great.
I've wanted to talk to you for so long for myself, but also I just think it's a great, you're such a role model, an example, you're inspiring, I all those things. I think, yeah, you're
Well,
them.
I appreciate it, but I also appreciate and want to say that I see what you're doing as well. I mean,
Thanks.
you're kind of taking lemons and making them into lemonade with the whole COVID situation and being shut down. And this is something so cool that you're pursuing. It's your dream and you're a hairdresser, but you're also creating this community. And props to you for, I don't know how you're reaching out to all of these like super famous people and getting them on here, but
Yeah, I don't
I'm
know. To
really
be honest, I
impressed.
don't know either. What the heck's going on? I've been getting emails from like people's personal assistants, and I'm like, I think they're a prank. I literally was like, somebody is doing this, like making fun of me. And then I
Well, keep
responded,
it.
it has the watermark, and I'm like, oh my, what's happening?
Okay. Well, keep it up because
Thank you.
I just think this awareness that you're kind of creating within the industry is really cool. I mean, when you had Candy on here, I watched hers and,
Thanks.
just it's really cool what you're doing to like encourage other people. So keep it up.
Love it. Thank you so much. You're the greatest. Love talking to you. Love your
You
accent.
too.